Alright everyone, this is going to be a video of personal gnosis on the runes. Specifically, my personal gnosis and the runes that I've created based on the Elder Futhark. So we're going to draw randomly from this rune bag, and then I'm going to go ahead and give you some personal gnosis on the runes. Outages. Very appropriate. One of my patron runes, in fact. So Algiz is a remarkable rune because it comes down to, it's not a representation of the rune tree as much as it is a connection to it. The ability to be protected by it. It's one of the most mysterious runes. So the rune Algiz has very much to do with protection, connection, and oneness. So it's one of the most mysterious runes because nobody really knows exactly what Algiz represents. The other runes are more obvious, but for Algiz, there's just this idea that, our personal connection to Yggdrasil, if we're going to do a standa, then we're going to stand upright and place our hands on either side of our body and call out to the gods or to the spirits. It's very hard for anyone who is new to runecraft or new to the runes in general, the Elder Futhark, to understand Algiz, because most people who have written books on the runes do not understand Algiz. It's more of a rune, but as far as protection, connection, and oneness, these are things that I've drawn connections to over time. These are not things that I read and just believed off the cuff. Algiz is very much a mysterious rune, but one of connection. Just like many times in our spiritual lives, where we have these connections, but we're not really sure how to explain them. We have this oneness, but we're not really sure how to explain it. And in that state of existence, there is protection. So let's go ahead and go to another rune. Draw another one here. Ansus. Also, another one of my patron runes. That's interesting. Ansus. Okay, so let's think about Ansus for a minute. So when it comes to Ansus, we're talking about a rune that is very much connected to calling upon the gods. And why is calling upon the gods very similar to casting a spell, casting a protection, casting a talisman, whatever you cast in magic, for instance? Why is that so similar to calling upon the gods? Well, you're basically calling upon the gods in the working that you're doing. Let's say a spell. Let's say you're doing a spell for love. You might be calling upon Freja, and you use the rune Ansus. Usually people use the rune Fehu, but even if you add Ansus into a rune word or a sigil that you use with Freja, then it's still viable because you are calling upon that particular power of a particular god or spirit. And even though it's Odin's rune, Odin is very much the god who knows how to use magic, cast spells. Of course, he knows how to call upon other gods because he's the All-Father. And this rune, every time that I see it, and it's one of my patron runes, every time that I see it, I think of somebody, putting their arms towards the ground, making a sacrifice there, closing their eyes, and just retreating within themselves, and chanting in order to basically cast a new reality for themselves or for others, depending on what they're trying to do magically. So Ansus is a very interesting rune. It's usually understood as Odin's rune, but that's not the only way that you can use it. And it's very much connected to casting as far as magic goes. Let's go ahead and draw another rune here. Aha, Gebo, or Gifu, depending on how you want to say it or use it. Gebo, very interesting. So, all right, so Gebo is very much a gift for a gift. So what does it mean by a gift for a gift? Now, this isn't even just my personal gnosis. A gift for a gift means that Gebo very much has to do with, even if you expect something from somebody, you cannot just take that without giving them something in return. If somebody gives you a present, a very good present, either they should have benefited from the relationship that you have with that person, or there is some partnership where your life would not operate the same without that person. So there's always, even if you give a gift, even if Gebo is active for one person, you have to think, how is it active between the two people? And that person will probably be a partner in life in some way, shape, or form, friendship, romance, or business. The idea of Gebo is very important to keep in mind. All right, let's draw another rune here. Hagals. Ah, wonderful. This is actually... All right, so when we look at Hagals, which is basically a capital N that's a little bit, the line in between is a little bit more diagonal, I guess you could say, less diagonal, I guess. So Hagals, what the interesting thing about this rune is that it is disruption. Whenever I draw it, it's usually when there needs to be a change in my life, or there's one happening that I just don't know about. When we think about disruption, we usually don't think of a seed, the cosmic seed, I guess in this case, and we usually don't think about change. But in order for a seed, in any situation to come to fruition, it needs to disrupt the dirt. It needs to disrupt reality itself in order to bloom, in order to make life. So the state of things being disturbed is also the place where new things are born. And this can be relative to your spiritual path. This can be relative to your relationships. This can be relative to, even with planets and stars and dimensions. All of these bigger, smaller, in whatever direction Hagals manifests, it is most certainly a rune that beckons and hints at changes either you will have to make or are already happening within your life, within your spiritual path. I find that when I draw Hagals, it's usually when my spiritual path is changing. That's usually when I draw it. It's never just when everything's the same. Usually a lot of the time when people draw it, it's like, okay, well, I need to change something. But for me, when I draw it, every time it seems like things are changing, and it's trying to tell me, how they're changing and how to adapt, basically, in conjunction with other runes when I draw them. All right, let's draw another rune here. Aha, Isa. Isa, okay. So, Isa, it's an ice rune. It's really the ice rune. Isa usually means that there's torpor, stagnation in whatever regard you're drawing it. It might be a situation, it might be your spiritual path, it might be your relationship, it might be your business, it might be your emotions. Perhaps your emotions are always the same. You're always angry, you're always depressed. But whenever you draw Isa for anything, and we're talking about divination at this point. Isa, when it comes to casting magic or spells, usually want to have some kind of conjoining rune in order to break Isa, because Isa is torpor and stagnation. It's the same, but there is a good side to Isa. So the good side to Isa is solid path. You can walk across this path. That torpor that is in your life, that stagnation, it might be a bridge to greater things if you know how to walk from one situation into another. That could be the bridge across the void. That's the good side of Isa. And that's the side of Isa that we all hope for. Because usually it means that we are not moving quick enough. We are not performing the correct deeds in our life in order for us to develop. All right, let's draw another rune here. Otila. One of the most contested of the runes. Well, when it comes to symbolism. So, Otila. All right, so the thing about Otila is that it is stationary power, whereas Fehu, which is Fleja's rune, Otila is stationary power. It's something like a house, or perhaps something you can't move. So for Fleja's rune, Fehu, it's something you can move, and it's often the rune of also cattle, like cattle move. But for Otila, the symbol is the house. The symbol is wealth that cannot be moved. The family that you were trying to build in one place. Magically, if you're going to use this rune, usually it's to basically keep anything out that's negative. You might use this if you're writing a rune word or and you're casting some kind of spell. You might combine this with outages, or you might combine it with Tewas or Redu, depending on what kind of energy you're trying to keep out. To show that there's a spiritual warrior in the house and other beings should not come near you, and using the right materials in order to create this piece of parchment or write it upon a door. You would say basically, you would basically make Tewas up. You might even just draw one line right there, or maybe you draw another line with the arrow, and it'd be like spiritual warriors live here. This may be stationary, but it is protected. It is a fortress. And that's a kind of magic that you can cast. But Otila, out of all the other runes, I see that more on people who are supremacists, white supremacists, more than any other rune. It's like we are here, we are proud. This is our place. I think that's just skimming the surface, and I think that is understood incorrectly if we're assigning it to a specific people. I think that this applies to everyone's really desire to protect what they have. It doesn't have to be a particular people or a bloodline, but to protect their own power that they have gained over time, not in relation to other groups, but just in relation to anybody who is trying to literally come to your house and maybe burglarize your house, or maybe somebody who's trying to disrupt your spiritual path, or perhaps maybe there's even a spirit that is trying to insert itself into your wealth and withdraw it energetically. We're talking about spiritual wealth at this time. But Otila is very stationary. It is stationary power. That is the essence of Otila for me. All right, everybody, we're gonna draw one more. See which one we draw. Ha, Olos. Ooh, man, we're doing good. So Olos is another one of my patron runes. So we, Ansos, Alges, and Olos, all of these are patron runes. Only recently have I gotten closer to Lagos, which is flow. But yeah, I've drawn all of my patron runes, and this is interesting. So Olos, it might be my first or second favorite rune, which might sound stupid to some rune casters, but I said it. All right. All right, so Oros, we're talking primordial strength. So primordial strength has to do with a connection to our ancestors, or a connection to the first of us, and the connections that they made with spirits and gods. So primordial strength, you know, sometimes you can use this as a way to, as a sigil. You can make Uros into that. And not only is it connected to primordial strength and, you know, connecting to our ancestors, connecting to the gods and spirits our ancestors have, but it literally is the rune of manifesting something in reality. So strength is a bad English word for this, but it's the closest one that we really have. But I guess a good way to say it is strength manifesting from that which was, and the strength of that which was. So anything that manifests in reality has a connection to Uros, because it's infinitely in and infinitely out, and the infinite connection. You know, this might sound like I'm overplaying this rune, but really, that's what it is. This is why it's one of my two favorite runes, if not my favorite rune, in the sense that I love its energy, I love its meaning, and I feel it within myself. That's why Uros is very important to me, and should be important on anybody's path with the Elder Truth Arc. At any rate, I greatly appreciate y'all watching this. If y'all have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to shoot it down in the comment section below on YouTube. If you have any, any desire to talk more about the runes, feel free to contact me at www.facebook.com/hunter.salazar. That's facebook.com/hunter.salazar. At any rate, I hope to hear from you. I hope that you keep on watching this channel, and let's grow and learn together. And feel free to reach out. You all have a wonderful day.